might be argued that a hallmark trait of moving from childhood to maybe adolescence or adulthood in maturity is the willingness to take a bath. Hi, this is Barry Phillips with 10 Minute Torah, day 2 of Tisa. We are in Exodus or Shemot chapter number 30, and we're going to begin with verse 17. Yahweh spoke to Moshe, saying, "You shall make a basin of bronze, with its stand also of bronze for washing, and you shall put it between the tent of appointment and the slaughter place, and shall put water in it. And Aaron and his sons shall wash from it their hands and their feet, when they go into the tent of appointment, or when they come near the slaughter place to attend, to burn an offering made by fire to Yahweh, lest they are to wash with water, lest they die. And they shall wash their hands and their feet, lest they die. And it shall be a law forever to them, to him and his seed throughout their generations." A couple of things here, just getting started on what is often overlooked and kind of set over in the corner and the teaching of the tabernacle, the necessity of the bronze laver. Bronze is the lesser of the three metals that were used in gold, silver, and bronze, but it's vitally important. It overlays the altar of sacrifice because copper or bronze dissipates and distributes heat much more effectively than other metals. When it comes to the washing of from the laver, however, we're not talking about the dispersion of heat, but rather we're talking about judgment. Bronze represents the idea, the concept of judgment. And so one looks at the water that is in the basin, and there's some differences of opinion as to whether this is a large bowl-styled structure. And the rabbis say that it was constructed from the bronze mirrors. Think about that. They used shiny metals as mirrors in those days. And the rabbinical midrash says that the women, while they were in captivity in Mitzrayim, would use their mirrors to make sure that they looked beautiful, that when their worn out, beaten, exhausted husbands would come home after being involved in slave-level labor during the day, that they would see the beauty of their wives and be prompted to continue relations with them and continue to birth sons and daughters, that they would not just be beaten to death and die as a race of people, that these women gave their mirrors for the purpose of then creating the bronze laver. So it is about the propagation of the people of Israel, the continuance of them as they rightly judge themselves, especially in their priestly leadership. And then whether it was a bowl or whether it was a cylinder-style object with spigots on it, where they would turn the spigot on and hold their hands underneath, and then one lower spigot that would wash their feet. I've seen it shown and revealed both ways. We weren't there. We can't maybe say for absolute certainty. Either way, I could see taking place. Nevertheless, it was positioned between the altar of sacrifice and the entrance into the set-apart room. This is where the menorah, the table of showbread, and the altar of incense was located. So as they moved from one level to the other, from the outer courts to the inner room to the outer courts, back and forth, they didn't bypass the laver. They washed themselves. And it was a serious enough event that it says that if they failed to do so, if they trafficked blood inside the set-apart room from the altar of sacrifice on their hands or their feet, they could die. Now, I'm sure that there's a much deeper level of teaching there that we don't have time for today. However, let's consider this idea of washing. When we ask a question, lest they die, really? Let's keep this in mind. Touching that which is set apart requires humility and maturity. Two things. To touch the holy, the set apart, first of all, we must be humble enough to submit ourselves to whatever required washing is necessary. And then the washing itself reveals an advance in status of a level of maturity. Remember that in Hebraic thought and understanding, to be immersed as in a mikvah, in complete immersion of water, the whole body immersed in water, what the church system has identified as baptism. It has become a ritual of sorts. Some even identifying that this is the moment of your actual salvation, is when you are immersed in the name of the Messiah. Not going down the doctrinal road today, but the understanding is rightly from Scripture that as the body is immersed in the water and then raised up, traditional teaching says we move from death to life. It is a rebirth. A new person emerges from the water. In many respects, that is absolutely true. However, the more foundational understanding is it is a change of status. One who has been unclean for whatever bodily emissions or impurities have been contracted to enter into the water and be immersed and then come back up changes their status. For many, it is the final rite or ritual of changing status, where you go down unclean and you come back up finally clean. So it is a change of status. We are changing our status of those who traffic in the outer courts to those who are now able to move into the inner court, the inner room. Let's go to the book of Yochanan, chapter number 13, beginning with verse 6. It says, Yeshua, came to Shimon Kepha and said to him, and Shimon Kepha said, Master, do you wash my feet? And Yeshua answered and said to him, You do not know what I am doing now, but you shall know after this. And Kepha said to him, By no means shall you wash my feet ever. Yeshua answered him, If I do not wash you, you have no part with me. Shimon Kepha said to him, Master, not my feet only, but also my hands and my head. Yeshua said, He who has had a bath does not need to wash except his feet, but is clean altogether, and you are clean, but not all of you. So there is a washing of Yeshua that Shimon Kepha was about to reject. That washing shows up here. Let's think about this. Where are they sourcing water for the bronze laver? It would be coming from the river of water, the living water that was flowing from Mount Sinai. Remember, Moshe and the elders, during a time where there was no water, went ahead of Israel up to Mount Sinai, and there Yah instructed him, Take the rod that is in your hand and strike the side of the rock, the mountain. And from that strike, a crevice shows up and water gushes out and runs back to the people. What is the significance of that rock? Well, that rock that followed them was Messiah, Roshul says. Mount Sinai is the place of the revelation of the Most High on the earth. It is also the place of the giving of the Torah, both referencing Yeshua, who is the manifested presence and reality of Yah the Father on the earth, and who is both the giver and the actual Torah to Israel. So from the riven side of Yeshua, from which flowed blood and water, has flowed then a cleansing for us, and we are to be immersed in that we not only are able to bring our prayers and offerings at the altar, but enter into the inner room and dive deeply into the Word, under the illumination of the Ruach HaKodesh, and offer sincere petitions and requests at the altar of incense of prayer. A lot to chew on today. We'll see you again tomorrow. Till then, shalom.